Hi, and welcome to Solidaires. It's a production of the Société Jazz de Saint-Henri with support from the Conseil des Arts de Montréal and in collaboration with Studio Le Bureau. Solidaires is a series of short solo concerts by some of Montreal's best jazz musicians. I'm Katie Malloch, and it's my pleasure to be your host. Tonight, I'll be introducing you, or perhaps you already know, the young singer and instrumentalist Laura Anglade. She's a vibrant performer who divides her time between Toronto and Montreal, and no matter where she goes and plays, she's turning heads and opening ears. Throughout the series, we're supporting Desta Black Youth Network. It's an organization that exists to further the employment goals of young people from the Little Burgundy area of Montreal. As you're watching on Facebook, you can click the button lower down on your screen and donate anytime to help Desta Black Youth Network. And if you'd like to know more about the organization, go to destabyn.org at any time. On with the music. Here's young Laura Anglade and Tea for Two.
Picture me upon your knee, just tea for two and two for tea. Me for you and you for me alone. Nobody near us to see us or hear us, no friends or relations on weekend vacations. Won't have it known, dear, that we own a telephone, dear. Day will break and I'll awake and start to bake a sugar cake for you to take, for all the boys to see. We will raise a family, a boy for you and a girl for me. Can't you see how happy we will be? Oh, picture me upon your knee, just tea for two and two for tea. Me for you and you for me alone. Nobody near us to see us or hear us, no friends or relations on weekend vacations. Won't have it known, dear, that we own a telephone, dear. Day will break and I'll awake and start to bake a sugar cake for you to take, for all the boys to see. We will raise a family, a boy for you and a girl for me. Can't you see how happy we will be?
Laura Anglade with Tea for Two. Laura, that was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
I'm interested in how jazz came into your life. I know you have musical background. You were born in the south of France and raised in Connecticut, and both your parents, I think, put emphasis on music as you were growing up. But where did the jazz connection actually come in?
Yes, so my dad is a huge fan of gypsy jazz music, so I've had that in the house since I was really small, and he's a Django fanatic, and we just would always have jazz albums playing in the house. I grew up playing classical piano, so I did that for years. My mother's a classical pianist. And I really only got into singing, I would say, in middle school when I started choir. I just loved singing in harmony with other people, and I found that so fascinating. I was an alto, so that was really fun for me to experiment with my ears a little bit. And but yes, my parents were very big influences. But it's really when I started taking voice lessons that I started to find my voice and come into my own, I would say.
And for jazz singers, I'm sure you cut your teeth on Betty and Ella and Sarah and the whole gang, which is kind of I think for a lot of young singers a bit of an intimidating factor, because you have these classical standards that are that you're going to be in some way judged beside. How did you decide to approach music in a way that would make it your own?
So that's a very good question. I'd say, well, I think it's good to experiment with a bunch of different styles. You know, when you're first starting out, like I think what's important is to have, like, I was very classically influenced as well. And yeah, like the more that you study, I think, the history, then you can start to begin to make it your own in the phrasing, and you sort of pick from different influences rather than just one influence, and then you kind of create your own sound from there. But it takes a while, I would say.
Did you study jazz vocalization? Did you study jazz singing?
No, I didn't. I really just transcribed all the greats. That's really how I learned.
Well, I heard that you made an instant impression when you started to hang out with musicians and began to let them hear you sing. So we'll hear you sing now again. Laura Anglade and her ukulele. I want to talk to you about that. This is called Young at Heart.
Fairy tales can come true. It can happen to you if you're young at heart. For it's hard, you will find, to be narrow of mind if you're young at heart. You can go to extremes with impossible schemes. You can laugh when your dreams fall apart at the seams, and life gets more exciting with each passing day. And love is either in your heart or on its way. Don't you know that it's worth every treasure on earth to be young at heart? For as rich as you are, it's much better by far to be young at heart. And if you should survive to 105, look at all you'll derive out of being alive. And here is the best part: you have a head start if you are among the very young at heart. Don't you know that it's worth every treasure on earth to be young at heart? For as rich as you are, it's much better by far to be young at heart. And if you should survive to 105, look at all you'll derive out of being alive. best part. You have a head start if you are among the very young. Voilà combien de jours, voilà combien de nuits, voilà combien de temps que tu es reparti. Tu m'as dit cette fois c'est le dernier voyage. Pour nos cœurs déchirés, c'est le dernier naufrage. Au printemps tu verras, je serai de retour. Le printemps c'est joli pour se parler d'amour. Nous irons voir ensemble les jardins refleuris et déambulerons dans les rues de Paris. Dis, mais quand reviendras-tu? Dis, au moins le sais-tu, que tout le temps qui passe ne se rattrape guère, que tout le temps perdu ne se rattrape plus. Le printemps s'est enfui depuis longtemps déjà. Craquent les feuilles mortes, brûlent les feux de bois. Voir Paris c'est beau en cette fin d'automne. Soudain je m'alanguis, je rêve, je frissonne. Je tangue, je chavire comme la rengaine. Je vais, je viens, je vire, je tourne et je me traîne. Ton image me hante, je te parle tout bas. Et j'ai le mal d'amour, et j'ai le mal de toi. Dis, mais quand reviendras-tu? Dis, au moins le sais-tu, que tout le temps qui passe ne se rattrape guère, que tout le temps perdu ne se rattrape plus. J'ai beau t'aimer encore, j'ai beau t'aimer toujours, j'ai beau n'aimer que toi, j'ai beau t'aimer d'amour. Si tu ne comprends pas que tu dois revenir, je ferai de nous deux le plus beau souvenir. Je reprendrai ma route, le monde m'émerveille, j'irai me réchauffer à un autre soleil. Je ne suis pas de celles qui meurent de chagrin, je n'ai pas la vertu des femmes de marin. Dis, mais quand reviendras-tu? Dis, au moins le sais-tu, que tout le temps qui passe ne se rattrape guère, que tout le temps perdu ne se rattrape plus.
Laura Anglade with a beautiful tune. It was Barbara who wrote that song, am I right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Dis quand reviendras-tu? And before that, Young at Heart. I'm intrigued by your usage of the ukulele.
Thank you.
It's a very sweet instrument for accompanying your voice. It goes very well, but it's not an instrument that a lot of singers, especially jazz singers, use. How did you come to start playing that?
Oh, well, it's kind of funny. So I wanted to play guitar, and my hands, I got good enough until I could play bar chords, and I have very small hands. So I figured I'll just try a ukulele because it's much smaller. So that's part of the reason, as silly as that sounds. But also there's the beautiful vocalist who's not a jazz singer at all, but she does a bit more singer-songwriter stuff, and I love her compositions are really creative. Her name's Dodie Clark, so I started watching her YouTube videos, and she was really the inspiration to get me started on ukulele, and yeah.
But it's beautiful. It has a very clear, pure sound, like the sound of your voice, and it's very adaptable to many kinds of music that seem to interest you. What
Yes.
about a song calls you to perform it? What do you have to find in a piece of music, in a song, that makes you want to make it yours and perform it?
I would say to make it my own, the lyric really has to speak to me. I've sort of shifted my focus. I used to focus on my technique and how I could use my breath, and that's sort of become second nature over the years. So now what's important to me is the message that comes across. One of my favorite vocalists, Carmen McRae, always said, I never sang a silly song. She only sang songs that meant something. So I really stand by that as well.
Well, if you're going to take advice from anybody about singing, Carmen McRae is a great person to do.
Absolutely.
Here's Laura Anglade once again on Solo Solidaire, this time with Over the Rainbow.
Red and yellow, pink and green, purple and orange and blue, I can sing a rainbow, sing a rainbow, sing a rainbow too. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why? Then oh, why can't I? Someday I wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why? Then oh, why can't I? If happy little birds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, pass your doorway. Gave you a buzz, that's all. Lately I've thought all about you, so I thought I'd pay a social call. Do you recall the old days? We used to have a ball. Not that I'm lonesome without you, I just thought I'd pay a social call. I'd lie and say that things are just swell, but to tell you the truth, I haven't been too well. If you should try to kiss me, I wouldn't even stall. Maybe we'll get back together, starting with an incidental, elemental, simple social call. Say things I just swell, but to tell you the truth, I haven't been too well. If you should try to kiss me, I wouldn't even stall. Maybe we'll get back together, starting with an incidental, elemental, simple social call.
Laura Anglade with Social Call. Gigi Grice tune, right?
Absolutely.
With typically lovable lyrics by John Hendricks. I've heard you sing that song, actually. I heard you with Sam Kermeyer on guitar at a concert at near the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts Performance Hall. What are your favorite musical settings to be in? I mean, there aren't many calls for a singer with ukulele. Do you like performing with a bigger group?
Oh, there's nothing like it. Yeah, there's nothing like playing with a full band. I think each venue has its own charm to it. It's great to sing for a club full of people, but it's also really nice to do more of an intimate show in somebody's house, for instance. I know that's becoming more and more popular. Actually, on our tour last year with my band, we were doing the release of my first album, which was already a year ago, and our best night was at a house concert. So yeah, I don't really have a preference. I guess it just depends on people's mood and stuff. But when it's more intimate, you really get a sense that people are listening. So that's definitely very special.
I know that musicians have a tendency to focus not on the album that they did last, but the one that they're developing now. It's like watching a flower grow. Do you have a new project that's forthcoming?
Yes, I'm currently working on something a little bit different, so it's going to be much more of an intimate setting this time. It's going to be a duo album that will be released as singles, and that's going to be with Sam Kermeyer on guitar, and we're going to do just French songs. So that's very exciting.
Is it hard to find material that doesn't feel as though every singer in the world has done it? New
Well,
material that people don't say, oh yeah, I remember Ella, I remember Sarah.
well, all of the greats. This music is so deep. The Great American Songbook, you never run out of repertoire. So the more albums that you listen to, there's so much available online, which we're so blessed to have the internet, honestly, because you can just keep digging and you'll never ever run out of stuff. So I actually have a preference for those that are not played often. I actually try to find ones that are not too well known.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening. One last song on Solo Solidaire from Laura Anglade and her ukulele. And this is a song about singing. A nightingale sang in Berkeley Square.
Thank you so much for having me. That certain night, the night we met, there was magic abroad in the air. There were angels dining at the Ritz. A nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. I may be right, I may be wrong, but I'm perfectly willing to swear that when you turned and smiled at me, a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. The moon that lingered over London town, poor puzzled moon, he wore a frown. How could he too know we were so in love? The whole darn world turned upside down. The streets of town were paved with stars. It was such a romantic affair. And as we kissed and said goodnight, a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square.
You've been listening to Laura Anglade singing and accompanying herself on her ukulele as the premier concert in our series called Solo Solidaire. Hope you've enjoyed it. A reminder, if you're watching us on Facebook, click at the bottom to donate to the charity that we're sponsoring this week, which is DESTA Black Youth Network. I'm Katie Malloch. Keep an eye open and an ear open for more concerts to come in our Solo Solidaire series, featuring some of the best jazz musicians from Montreal in a very intimate solo setting for times that could use some peace of mind and some joy. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time.